Hey there, and welcome to Family Revenge. We're so glad you're here. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you can stay with us for every twist and turn. Let's jump right in. I was elbow deep in a box of bolts behind the counter when my phone buzzed in my back pocket. I pulled it out with my gloves still on, thumbed it on, and saw the voicemail icon. It was from my dad. Weird. He never left voicemails. Usually it was just a missed call and maybe a text 2 days later saying, "Call me." I stepped out to the stockroom and hit play. His voice came through quiet and low, like he was trying not to wake someone. "Hey, it's your dad. Call me back as soon as you can. It's it's about something serious. You should probably know what's going on." Then it cut off. I just stood there for a second, staring at the racks of lawnmower belts. No details, no context, just that it was serious. I ran through a mental list. Nobody in the hospital, right? I hadn't missed a birthday or anything. Maybe something happened to my mom? I'd seen her post on Facebook this morning, a picture of her coffee. She looked fine. I got back to work, but I couldn't stop thinking about the message. When lunch rolled around, I dropped my gloves on the counter, grabbed my sandwich from the break room fridge, and stepped outside to the loading dock. I called him back. He picked up fast. "Hey, you're on break?" "Yeah, what's going on?" There was a pause. "Okay, so this might sound weird, but it's about your grandma's life insurance. The one she left for you." I froze, sandwich halfway to my mouth. "What life insurance?" "The one she left you when she passed." "Years ago? You didn't know about it?" "No, I didn't." My tone probably came off sharper than I meant. "What are you talking about?" He cleared his throat. "We've been managing it for you. Sending you money monthly. It was all in your name, but, well, you were younger, and we thought it'd be better to handle it responsibly." I leaned against the concrete wall, squinting out at the parking lot. "What money?" "You've been getting $2,000 a month. From the Hastings Family Fund account." I blinked. "Dad, I never got any payout from Grandma. Not a dime. And if you've been sending me money, I didn't notice." Another pause. He sounded confused now. You haven't been using it?" "No, because I didn't know it existed." He sighed. "Okay, hold on. Let me just I think I need to explain this from the beginning." "All right," he said, voice tight like he was bracing for impact. "So, when your grandma passed, she left you $300,000 in a life insurance policy. It was in your name. Your mom and I, well, we decided to manage it for you. You were still getting on your feet back then." I stared at the gravel under my boots. Getting on my feet? I was 26, running 2 stores already. I didn't realize. Anyway, we set it up so you'd get $2,000 a month, like a safety net. "So you wouldn't blow through it?" I barked out a laugh before I could stop myself. $2,000? You thought that would make a difference?" He hesitated. "We figured it was enough to help, not spoil." I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Scrolled back. Sure enough, right there, month after month for the last 3 years. See Hastings Family Fund, $2,000. I almost dropped the phone. Not because I cared about the money, but because they really believed this was helping me. "You're serious? You guys thought this mattered?" He got defensive. "It was your money. We just didn't want it to disappear. And we didn't take any, not a penny for ourselves. We made sure you got every bit." I shook my head. "I never noticed it. I thought it was some investment auto transfer I forgot about." "Well, it's not going to come anymore," he said, like that was supposed to land as a threat or something. "Why?" There was a pause. Then he dropped it. "We used the rest of it. For Sam." I stood there blinking in the sun. "Used it for what?" "To help him open his new place. The bar." "Wait, hold up. You used the rest of my inheritance to fund Sam's bar?" "It wasn't like that," he said quickly. "We figured you'd had a good run with the monthly payouts and Sam needed a real shot. It's a big opportunity. You know how hard he's been working?" I almost laughed again. "How much is left?" "Nothing," he said quietly. "It's gone. The $270,000 that was left. It's all in the bar." I couldn't even get mad. Not yet. I was too stunned. "You really thought you guys were supporting me?" I said. "That the $2,000 a month made a dent in my life?" "Well, yeah. It's not nothing, Dad. I own 6 hardware stores across the state. Silence. I have over 120 employees. We made just under $40 million in revenue last year. Nothing, just air on the other end of the line. I didn't even notice $2,000 coming in because it doesn't register." I spend more than that on fuel for deliveries in a week. He finally spoke, his voice small. You, you never told us. You never asked. You always assumed I was barely scraping by. I heard him exhale. We thought we were helping. I ran my hand down my face, heart pounding. You weren't. You gave me money I didn't need. And now Sam has it. There was a long silence. I could almost hear his mind trying to catch up. I think you need to explain everything, I said. From the beginning. Every detail. Don't skip anything. He cleared his throat, but it came out rough. Wait, 40 million? You said 40 million last year? Yeah, I said. That's just revenue. Net's lower, obviously, but still strong. From hardware stores, 6 of them, I said, across the state. I've got a central warehouse near Kansas City, regional manager in each location. Payroll alone is 7 figures. Been building this thing for almost 10 years. He didn't say a word. I heard a faint sound in the background, maybe the creak of a kitchen chair. Then, finally, I had no idea. No shit, I said, trying to keep it level. You thought I was living off $2,000 a month, like I'd still be scraping by in some one-bedroom apartment with bad plumbing. You never told us. You never asked. He let that sit. It got real quiet. We thought we were doing the right thing, he said, giving you a slow drip of money so it wouldn't disappear. Helping without enabling. That was the plan. I pinched the bridge of my nose, staring at the edge of the loading dock like it was going to give me answers. That was never Grandma's policy, was it? He hesitated. No, it wasn't. Then where did the 300 grand come from? Another pause. Our retirement accounts? I looked up like the sky would explain it better than he could. Wait, are you serious? We thought she'd left you money and put it under our names for tax reasons. Your mom figured it was for you. She was always close to your grandma. She said it made sense. Did you ever see a policy? A legal document? Anything? No, but your grandma always said she wanted to leave something behind for you. We thought that's what this was. You thought she left me a pile of money, and you just decided to send it to me monthly? She always trusted us to handle things. We didn't think she'd go through a lawyer. I sat down on the edge of the dock, boots scraping the concrete. Dad, you gave me almost $270,000 from your retirement, and I didn't even need it. I feel sick, he said. We thought we were helping you build something. We never checked. We just assumed Jesus, I muttered. I've been getting pity money from people who think I'm failing. Meanwhile, you've been bleeding out your future. We didn't know, he said again. We thought we were investing in you. I shook my head. You weren't investing. You were throwing money into the wind, hoping I'd catch it. He didn't respond. I'm sending it back, I said. All of it. With interest. You don't have to. I'm not debating it, I snapped. You gave up your savings for something that didn't exist. That's not okay. He tried to push back again. We'd do it again if you needed it. But I didn't, I said. That's the problem. There was a long silence again. I could feel it settling in for both of us. How messed up this really was. You're really doing that well? He asked like he still couldn't believe it. Yeah, I said. Better than well. I'm working on a private label tool line. We're expanding into Missouri next year. He let out a soft, almost nervous laugh. We thought you were still, managing some local shops, fixing shelves, doing what you could. I've got regional sales targets, freight contracts, a legal team. This isn't some side hustle. Well, damn. Yeah, I said. Damn. I stood up and looked out at the lot, where one of my delivery trucks was pulling back in. I'll wire the full amount back by the end of the day, I said. You'll see it hit tonight. I'll send extra to cover whatever growth it would have had in a real fund. You don't have to do that, he said again, voice cracking just a little. I do, I said. Because you didn't give your daughter money. You burned your future for a version of me that doesn't exist. And I can't let that stand. I heard some muffled movement on the line. Then Dad said, hang on, I'm putting your mom on. There was a pause, then her voice came through, sharp and breathless. What's going on? What did I just hear about the money being ours? Mom, I said calmly, you and Dad used your retirement thinking it was from Grandma. But there was no policy. She didn't leave me anything. Just a box of her old watches and some recipe cards. Silence. Then, that's not possible, she said, almost in a whisper. She told me she was setting something up for you. She might have meant to, I said. But legally? Nothing ever came through. I checked. There's no record of a life insurance policy, no payout. You two pulled everything from your accounts and sent it to me monthly for 3 years. Oh my God, she said. Oh my God, no. I could hear her pacing. Her breath got faster. We thought, your dad said, it was under our names for tax reasons. I thought it was hers, that it was meant for you. It wasn't. I never saw a dime from Grandma's estate. Everything you gave me came straight out of your own pockets. She gasped, then dropped her voice like she didn't want to believe it. We spent it all. For Sam? For that stupid bar. I'm making this right, I said. I'm wiring you $300,000 today. I already told Dad. No, honey, that's too much, she said quickly. We can't let you do that. That's insane. It's not. It's a correction. She started to cry. We gave away everything, and you didn't even need it. You didn't even know you were getting it. I didn't, I said. But that doesn't matter now. What matters is that you two thought you were helping me, and you bled yourselves dry to do it. She sniffed hard. We didn't know. We never thought to double check. I thought we were doing the right thing. You were doing what you believed was right, I said. But now that we know the truth, I'm fixing it. Dad spoke up again, quieter this time. You really have that kind of money just sitting around? Yeah, I said. I do. They didn't respond. I pulled up my banking app, took a screenshot of my business account dashboard, and sent it to Dad's phone. Then I waited. A few seconds later, Mom's voice came back, trembling. Is that number real? Yes. Are all those your accounts? They are. Another beat of silence. I imagined them both staring at the screen in total disbelief. Dad cleared his throat. We had no idea. I know, I said. It's okay. You don't need to say anything else. I'll send the wire now. You'll have the confirmation in an hour. Mom tried one last time. It's too much. We don't need all of it back. I'm not debating, I said. You gave me nearly $300,000. I'm giving it back, plus some. That's final. They didn't argue after that. I was still standing in the loading dock when I asked, what exactly is this business you helped Sam open? Dad hesitated. It's a bar, but like upscale. Craft whiskey, some kind of food pairings. Tapas, I think. His friend handles the kitchen side. What's it called? I asked. The Ember Room, he said. I blinked. You're kidding. No, he said. Why? I didn't answer. I unlocked my phone, pulled up my private venture fund app, and typed in Ember Room LLC. There it was, 6 months ago. $220,000 approved. Signed by Sam Hastings with my fund listed as the majority stakeholder. 55% ownership. He'd pitched it at a startup event my firm sponsored in Wichita. He had no clue the panel he presented to included me. He'd emailed me directly after asking for capital. I'd kept my name off the docs and let my fund manager handle the paperwork, like I always do. Dad, I said slowly, you didn't fund Sam's bar. What do you mean? I did. You? Yeah, through my private investment fund. Sam pitched it to us. I thought it had potential, so we backed it. He has no idea I'm the one who approved the money. I own 55% of it silence. Dead silence. I thought you just ran hardware stores, he finally muttered. I do. And I invest. And I sit on 2 local boards. I don't just fix leaky sinks, Dad. He didn't respond. You gave him money thinking it was for his big break, I said. But the bar was already funded. Fully. He didn't need your help either. He just didn't know you thought you were the ones backing him. Jesus Christ, he said under his breath. We gave him everything. How much? I asked. About 180 total. I let out a low whistle. So between me and him, you two dropped almost 300 grand on businesses already running just fine without you. I need to sit down, he muttered. Do that, I said. I didn't mean it harsh, just flat. Because this is bigger than a money mix-up. You guys never saw what I was actually doing. You assumed Sam was the one who needed a leg up, and I was the one who needed saving. That's not... Yeah, it is, I cut in. And that's fine. But you should know, your entire retirement is sitting in a bar owned by your son. That I control. I heard him breathe into the receiver like he was trying to ground himself. Does Sam know any of this? No, not a word. As far as he's concerned, he got seed funding from some Wichita venture firm. He doesn't know it's me, And he definitely doesn't know you gave him money too. He's gonna freak out. Yeah, probably, I said. But that's between me and him. I'll handle it. He was quiet for a long time. Then, I feel like everything I thought I knew just fell apart in 20 minutes. Maybe that's not a bad thing, I said. As soon as I hung up with Dad, I called Sam. No way I was letting this drag into some long family email thread. He picked up on the second ring. Hey, what's up? He said. Everything okay? Not really. Got a minute? Sure. What's going on? I just got off the phone with Mom and Dad. They told me they gave you $180,000 to start the Ember Room. He went quiet. Wait. What? Yeah. They thought they were giving you my inheritance? My what? There is no inheritance, I said. That's the point. They thought Grandma left me money. They used their retirement savings to send me $2,000 a month for 3 years. Then they used the rest to help you open your bar. Dude, I didn't know any of that, he said fast. I didn't even ask them for money. They just offered out of nowhere, said they wanted to invest in my future. I thought it was like $10,000 max. I didn't know it was their whole damn nest egg. It was. Holy shit. Yeah, I said. And that's not even the craziest part. He groaned. Oh no. I already own 55% of the Ember Room. There was a beat. You what? You pitched it to my venture fund 6 months ago. You didn't know I was behind it? My team approved the funding. 220 from our end. I'm the majority stakeholder. Dead silence. I waited. So, he said finally, I pitched to my sister, she funded it, and our parents also gave me money thinking they were helping you? Exactly. He let out a long breath. That's messed up. Yeah. You mad at me? No, I said. You didn't know. But we need to clean this up. I'll pay them back, he said immediately. Every cent, I swear. I thought they just wanted to help. I had no clue they thought they were covering for some inheritance mix-up. You good to set up structured repayments? I'll have my accounting team draft something. Absolutely, he said. Send it over. I don't want them living off fumes because of me. I nodded, even though he couldn't see it. Appreciate it. Can I ask something? Yeah. You're not going to pull out of the bar now, are you? No, business is business. It's still a good concept. But this family part? We handle that first. He let out a sigh. Thanks. Seriously, I feel like an idiot, but I'll make this right. I know you will. After I got off the phone with Sam, I sat at my kitchen counter with a glass of bourbon I didn't even really want. Just something to hold, something to slow down the noise in my head. I kept thinking about how none of this would have happened if I'd just told them what I actually do. But I didn't, and not because I was hiding anything. They never asked. Growing up, everything with them was about real jobs. Clock in, clock out, steady paychecks, dental coverage. My dad worked construction until his knees gave out. Then he did supply chain stuff at a factory. My mom did admin at the local high school. Good people, good work. But small world thinking. When I opened my first hardware store, they thought it was cute, like a side project. At family dinners, they'd say stuff like, she's working on building something, still figuring things out. Even after I opened store number 4, they were still telling people I was managing a couple shops around town. They never meant it to be insulting, but it was, every time. So I stopped trying to explain. I figured, fine, let them think I'm the underdog. I didn't need a pat on the back to keep going. I had my numbers, my team, my customers. Truth was, I didn't want their validation. I didn't trust what they'd do with it. Because if I told them I was running a multi-state operation pulling in $40 million a year, they'd either get weirdly proud in that uncomfortable my kid's a millionaire way, or they'd still find a way to doubt it. Either way, I didn't want to be part of that circus. But this whole mess, finding out they drained their retirement thinking they were saving me, it made me realize something I hadn't seen before. They weren't indifferent. They were just out of touch. They never asked because they didn't know how to ask. I speak in terms they've never had to use. To them, owning a business meant running a little shop in a strip mall and hoping someone walks in for a spare key or paint samples. They had no clue I deal with vendors in bulk, manage POS worth hundreds of thousands, lead meetings with a legal team, and logistics contractors. None of that fit into their version of success, so they built their own story. One where their daughter was struggling, and they were the quiet heroes behind the scenes, slipping her just enough to get by, helping her feel secure, helping her grow. It was wrong, but it wasn't cruel, And the truth was, I let them keep believing it. Not because I needed the distance, but because I never thought they'd understand the real picture anyway. Turns out they might have, if I'd given them the chance. 3 months later, I picked them up from the airport myself. I could have sent a car, but I wanted to see their faces when I pulled up in my truck with the company logo across the side, Hastings Hardware Distribution and Supply. Dad looked surprised. Mom smiled like she wasn't sure if she should be proud or concerned. They didn't say much on the drive, just looked out the window, taking in the sprawl of the industrial park on the edge of Kansas City. I pulled through the main gate and drove past a long row of loading docks. The warehouse stood behind it, 120,000 square feet of steel in motion. My name, Hastings Operations HQ, was printed clean across the top. Dad sat up straighter. "This all yours?" "Yep." "Every truck in here?" "Every forklift too. All the inventory, the logistics software, the contracts." He blinked. "Jesus." I parked and walked them through the main employee entrance. The security badge scanner clicked green and opened into a bright hallway lined with framed photos. Not of me, but of every store location, each with the opening date below it. One of my managers, Chris, walked past and nodded at me. "Morning, boss." "Hey, Chris." "You meet my folks?" I said, gesturing behind me. He grinned and shook their hands. "Heard a lot about you two." "She's the real deal," Mom blushed. Dad looked confused again. We started the tour with the operations floor, where guys in safety vests were checking pallets, loading orders, logging inventory. Conveyor belts rolled quietly in the background. I walked them up to the mezzanine level where you could see the entire warehouse from end to end. "This is where we handle regional distribution," I said. "All 6 stores plus a few outside contracts. About 10,000 SKUs move through here monthly." Mom nodded slowly, looking overwhelmed but trying to keep up. I led them past the break rooms, stocked with snacks, coffee stations, even recliners. Then through the training area, where a whiteboard still had notes from last week's manager meeting. Dad trailed behind, staring like he was seeing color for the first time. When we got to the wall near my office, I stopped. "This is our performance board," I said. "Top sales month, safety benchmarks, customer reviews. And those," I pointed to the plaques on the wall, "are our industry awards. We've won Regional Supplier of the Year 3 years running." Dad didn't say anything. He just kept staring. Mom stepped closer, reading the plaque with my name on it. "That one's national," I added. "Best Independent Retail Logistics Division. Beat out 3 major chains." Her hand went to her mouth. She didn't speak. I opened the door to my office. Floor-to-ceiling glass on one side, clean desk, giant screens on the wall tracking shipments, and live sales data. On the other side of the room was a blueprint pinned to a corkboard. "This is the next step," I said. "We're launching our own line of home tools next year, branded under the Hastings name. Private label, full control of quality, pricing, everything." Dad walked up to the board, fingers tracing the layout. "This is for real? It's already in motion. Designs are done. Manufacturing contracts signed in Michigan and Texas. Launch is set for the second quarter." He didn't move, just stared at the plans like they were written in a language he never learned. Mom finally spoke, voice quiet. "Why didn't you ever tell us it was this big?" "I figured you weren't really interested," I said honestly. "You thought I was managing some shelves in a couple stores. And I didn't correct you." Her eyes welled up. "We didn't know what questions to ask." "I know," I said. "That's why you're here now." She looked around the room one more time, then nodded like it finally made sense. Dad just kept looking at that board, jaw clenched, eyes moving slow like he was trying to catch up to everything all at once. Dad was still staring at the expansion plans when I said, "By the way, I talked to Sam." He turned slowly. "About the money?" "Yeah." He felt awful. He had no idea you two gave him anything close to that much. Mom stepped into the room again, still quiet. "I've got my accounting team setting up a repayment plan," I said. "He's taking it seriously, but there's more." They both looked at me. "I asked him to give you 5% equity in the Ember Room." Permanently, Mom blinked. "What?" "You heard me. 5% ownership, real shares, profit distributions, asset rights. You name it." Dad leaned back against my desk, gripping the edge. "Wait, why would he do that?" "Because you put in real money, even if it was by accident," I said. "And because it's the right thing to do." "That bar's not even turning a profit yet," Dad said, trying to play it down. We don't need charity. It's not charity, I snapped. It's equity. It's ownership. And you're getting it whether you think you deserve it or not. Mom was staring at me like I'd grown an extra head. How much could 5% even be worth? I walked over to the whiteboard behind my desk, grabbed a marker, and wrote a quick number, $30 million. If projections hold, I said, and we expand to 3 locations by year 3, the Ember Room could easily be worth $30 million. Minimum. They just stood there, looking at the number. 5%, I said, is $1.5 million. Dad's face went pale. We gave him $180,000. And in return, you might end up with 10 times that, I said. That's how venture works. You took a risk. Now you get a share. Mom looked at Dad, then back at me. So we own part of the business? You're silent partners now, I said. Sam's on board. I already filed the paperwork this morning. Dad dropped into the chair across from my desk like he'd been hit in the chest. This is insane. This is how things work, I said. You two spent your lives working paycheck to paycheck. Nobody ever showed you how money can work for you instead of you working for it. He looked up at me. And now you're showing us? Now I'm treating you like adults who can handle the truth. Mom stepped over to the edge of the desk. Her voice was soft but solid. We didn't see any of this coming. I know. I always thought you were smart, she said. But this is different. This is another level. I sat on the edge of the desk, facing them both. I'm not mad at you for not understanding, but I'm not going to play small just to make anyone comfortable either. Dad nodded slowly. Good. You shouldn't. That was the moment it shifted. I felt it in the air. No more sugarcoating. No more awkward nods at family dinners when someone asked what I was trying to do with my little stores. Now we were talking like equals. We spent the next hour going over expansion numbers, market trends, customer data. I showed them the heat maps for sales growth, explained our customer loyalty funnel, and broke down the margins on private label tools versus national brands. They didn't catch all the details, but they listened. Really listened. And for the first time in my life, they looked at me like I wasn't just their daughter. They looked at me like a peer. The night the Ember Room opened, the line wrapped halfway down the block. We had local press, influencers, food bloggers, and some finance guys who heard about the concept through my fund's quarterly report. Sam was sweating bullets behind the bar, trying to look cool, and my parents sat in the corner booth, dressed nicer than I'd seen them in years. They didn't talk much, just watched everything, soaking it in. Silent partners. But you could see it on their faces. Mom kept looking at the menu like it was a museum piece. Dad didn't even pretend not to be impressed. When the manager brought out a whiskey flight named after our hometown, he leaned back and said, "Smart branding." After the ribbon cutting, I made the rounds, shook hands, gave a quick speech about community investment and local growth. Sam raised a toast to our parents. People clapped. Dad nodded like he'd finally figured out what the hell I'd been building all these years. A week later, we had family dinner at my house. I grilled steaks. Mom brought salad. Dad brought a bottle of the house bourbon from the bar, still in its soft opening packaging. About halfway through the meal, Mom looked up and said, "So, when's the tool line launching?" "Next spring," I said. "We've got 2 SKUs in prototype and the packaging's in design now." Dad nodded, chewing slowly. "Margins better on private label?" "About 30%, I said. He let out a low whistle. "Not bad." I went to grab dessert. When I came back, Dad was flipping through a business magazine on the couch. My interview was on page 24. I hadn't even told him about it. He held it up. "So this is what a real boss sounds like?" I smirked. "Depends who you ask." He smiled, but it wasn't teasing. It was respect. That's what changed. Not just the money, not just the ownership. They saw me now, not as someone chasing a dream, not as a kid trying to figure things out. They saw the work, the scale, the strategy. And I saw something too, what they were willing to give up for people they loved, even when they didn't have the full picture. In the end, it wasn't about the payout or the equity or the transfers. The real return wasn't in dollars. It was this, a seat at the table, finally, as myself.